From the Audi Performance Studio, welcome to Jets Overtime, presented by SiriusXM.
The Jets' winning streak is over. They drop a 27-6 decision to the LA Chargers. On Monday night, football in front of the nation at MetLife Stadium. Anthony Becht, Quincy Enunwa, and myself, Eric Allen, inside the Audi Performance Studio. Bottom line, AB, when you look at this game, the Jets scored 2 field goals. They had 3 turnovers. And also, they gave up a touchdown on special teams. Not a recipe for victory in the National Football League.
Yeah, and they didn't start the game off in general with any real type of, at least offensively, the kind of urgency that you would have expected this team to come out on. Listen, you already spoke about it, but, it's hard to imagine you can have 33 completions and only have 6 points. Breece Hall, we talked about him getting touches. He got his 20 touches, but his 3 biggest plays, penalties. Yeah. Lots of penalties on offense, motion penalties, all different things. A lot of them from receivers, which was very odd, but they did prevent some big plays from happening. Zach Wilson was probably not as efficient as you wanted him to be early in this football game. And, it's really like it's Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. I mean, that's what you got right now. There's really no true two. No disrespect to anybody there. Just we're not getting production from those guys. And I really don't know. They're just shooting themselves in the foot throughout this entire game. And they got to start complementing something with the defense, because at this point it's almost like the defense is playing so well. It's almost like, man, defense has to score now, which is a lot to ask. So, the start of the game was just not great overall, because you get the special teams touchdown, and then obviously with no offensive structure through the first half, defense will only do so much. I mean, they played fantastic. Just right now we're just trying to figure out what is this, how can this offense produce? And then, of course, the makeshift line doesn't help as well. So there's a lot of factors.
Quincy, wild numbers in this game, because the Jets had 270 total yards. The Chargers had 191 total yards. Third down continues to be an issue for the Jets offensively. You're talking about 3 of 17 tonight. The Chargers, even though they had difficulty moving the ball on an elite Jets defense, they converted 7 of their 16 chances on third down.
Yeah, I mean, listen, so many drive killers, right? In the very beginning, you had the fumbles. You had punts, punt return touchdowns, just different opportunities in this game where the Jets just were not capitalizing on the things that they had. And obviously that's going to make it a very challenging game for you. You can't win games when your first drive ends in a punt return touchdown. Then your next drive is a fumble. Your starting receiver is fumbling the ball away. Your starting running back is fumbling the ball away. I mean, it's really challenging to get anything going. I think I heard Nathaniel Hackett say before that a lot of times they can't get into a lot of the plays because they're not able to get past third down. So then you can't get into a rhythm. There was a couple drives that they started where I saw them try to take a shot. But again, things just happened where it just caused a snowball effect, and so the defense again came up strong this game. They played fantastic, exactly the way you want them to play, and the offense just didn't hold up their side of the bargain. And I do want to bring up one thing, right? So, because I know we're going to be pretty hard on the team today, but I was doing some research prior to this game. I was curious, right? And I talked about this a little bit with AB. You look at some of the great teams and great quarterbacks, there's a lot of continuity, right? And with this offense, there's not a lot of continuity. Defensively, you're seeing them play at a high level because there's not as much thinking, right? They don't have to worry about the plays because they're memorized at this point. This is year 3 in this defense. There's nothing really changing. In fact, it's probably enhancing it every year. And offensively, you're not getting that continuity, and you're not getting to see, especially around Zach, a young quarterback. I looked at Tom Brady, right? When he was winning championships, he had the same coordinator for a very long time. Peyton Manning, when he was winning, he had the same coordinator. So it's very challenging to kind of keep these things going. That's not to make an excuse for tonight. I can't tell you until I really watch the film what the problem is, but I do know that it's just very unsound football, and that's not how you win a championship. That's not how you get a playoff berth. There's a lot of things that have to be challenged and fixed.
Defensive slugfest. You're talking about a game where we saw 13 sacks.
Yeah.
You talked about the offensive line there, and we speak about continuity, that line that you're talking about here. The Jets have not had any continuity up front, and again, we saw that today. And Quincy mentioned a couple of good points there that offensively, they were actually in plus territory on their first couple possessions, but those resulted in turnovers.
Yeah, I said in the post game, prior to this post game, you know, and I said, like, the continuity in the offensive line's not there.
Yeah.
It's rough a little bit with some of the positions they got. But you know what? When I think about it, I think there's enough to function, right? That's kind of, why can't they function, okay, and do what they need to do? Because they are making some plays scattered. It's just something, you know, is just kicking them back. I mean, you don't want to get sacked. How many times did Zach get sacked?
8 times.
8 times.
Oof.
I mean, you know, that's not great, okay? That's not going to be you're not going to win those games. But, you know, I think some of those get the ball out of your hand. Some of those, you know, can we help with protection? Some of those, you know, we have to find a way to make something out of it. I mean, you know, there's a lot of teams in the league that offensive lines are not really good, okay? They're just not. But they're functioning some way, somehow. This team can't score touchdowns. I mean, it's just, you know, you're talking about, you know, life on the line last week, okay? And you got to get in the end zone, man. You got to find a way. And I just don't know, like, if Garrett Wilson doesn't get open and Breece Hall doesn't have a day, who's getting in right now? Because there's nothing there. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Got to find a way.
You do have to find a way, and you can't beat yourself in the National Football League, especially with this defense. The leader of this defense continues to perform at a high level. That's C.J. Mosley, 11 tackles against the Chargers. Ethan Greenberg talked to the Jets' middle linebacker after the game.
Here with C.J. Mosley. C.J., as the captain of this team, what was your message to the guys in the locker room?
You know, when you have a bunch of veterans, a bunch of young core guys like we have, it wasn't much for me to say. You know, it was understood as soon as the clock hit 0. You know, the word is, like, the better team won, but at the end of the day, you know, when you turn the ball over, when we, you know, don't get the ball back on defense to create opportunities for our offense, we don't do the right things on special teams. When you don't play a good game collectively in the NFL, the chances you win are very low. So it's a lot for everybody to look at. You know, we got humbled today. You know, they came in our house and they beat us. So we gotta take that on the chin and, you know, get healthy and get ready for next week. We got another big AFC game next week.
Obviously, without watching the film, I'm asking this question, but what do you feel like, or how do you feel like the defense executed its game plan?
For the most part, I think we did really well. We was confident going into our game plan. I feel like our defensive line did a good job, you know, getting Herbert out of the pocket, of, you know, moving him around. But, you know, they made the plays they needed to. We got to get some turnovers, especially a game like this when, you know, when things weren't going our way. We had our chances to get the ball, but, you know, we didn't get the right balance, so we couldn't get on it. But, you know, it's a learning lesson, like I said. You know, we got humbled, which is not a bad thing. So let's look at the tape just like we've been winning. Let's make sure we, you know, keep this thing going and, you know, to get that sour feeling out of our mouth.
Why is being humbled not a bad thing in your opinion?
You know, it just keeps you grounded. You know, you never want to get too high when you're winning. You don't want to get too low when you're losing. So the same mindset, the same steps we took the past 3 weeks when we've been really successful, let's keep that same grind, you know, when we're down. So, you know, we've been in this situation before. So, you know, these type of games, especially November, is going to make next month relevant. So it was a tough way to start November, but we got 3 more to go. And, you know, we got to get healthy. You know, like I said, got a quick turnaround going to the West Coast. So let's, you know, do the reverse Uno card and, you know, just go get a win on the other side.
Awesome, CJ. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching Jets Overtime. Eric Allen, Anthony Beck, Quincy Enunwa here. C.J. Mosley just said the Jets were humbled tonight against the Chargers. I was thinking all along, fellas, that Jets are going to go on a run here in the second half because we've seen that happen a number of times. That defense kept the offense in the game, but it was never reciprocated where the offense made that big move in the third quarter where the crowd was allowed to get back into this game and you put some game pressure on the Chargers. That didn't happen.
Yeah, you know, and I respect Mosley when he speaks because he says a lot of good things. You know, the one thing, and it's tough, is, you know, he's like, well, you know, the defense has to find ways to score. Like, no, that's gravy stuff, right? Like, you know, and that's the sad part. Like, you know, man, and they caused 3 fumbles. They couldn't get any of them. You know, just didn't bounce their way. So they caused 3 fumbles. They sacked the quarterback, what, 5-6 times. Yep. You know, the other stuff he said was true. You know, the special teams, you can't give up a touchdown. It's just not good enough. And, you know, Morstead, you know, God bless him, he played a great game last week. He boomed that first punt. I mean, just boomed it. And, you know, you give a guy a lot of space, you know, it's not good. And he'll be the first one to tell you because he played a great game last week. But and then, you know, offensively, again, it's just, you know, the complementary pieces have to be in line with this football team. And I just, sometimes I wonder, you know, what exactly, you know, is it that difficult for what they have to actually produce what they need to be functional? And, you know, today, obviously, a lot of different things causing the pull back. But I also think, like, man, like, okay, you got some dudes. All right, you got some dudes. Like, how, you know, how's it not working out for this football team offensively? So, you know, I think I saw something. They're up to this point last year, they're averaging 17 and over 17 points. Now they're only averaging 14. I get it. Everything's different. Aaron Rodgers is down. All that stuff I understand. But again, I go back. You got Breece Hall. You got Dalvin Cook. You got Michael Carter. You got 3 tight ends that are really solid players that you invested a lot of money in and a draft pick in. You got Garrett Wilson, who clearly is a dude, legit dude, who goes out and everybody knows he's the dude, and he still makes plays. And he even makes plays when it's not going to count as a catch because the ball's not thrown in the right spot, and he still goes up and catches it and almost gets his toes in to make it a fantastic play. You know, you got Lazard, who, again, you know, he's not quite living up to the dollar amount, but he's 6'5". I mean, let's do something to give him an opportunity. I know they tried a 50-50 ball. It was a little low. To me, that's like a 5'8" guy could have did with that on that play. So, you know, we go back to the offensive line. Again, you got to be able to function what they have. And I think they're good enough up front to function, however they assemble it, because let's be honest, Joe Douglas brought in a lot of linemen, okay? And this stuff happens, okay? And you got to be able to make shift. And he, like, look, from experience, the guy's got hurt over the years. He knows he's got to be deep there. And it's nice to have guys you can at least get out there, but they should be functional. And they got to figure out why they're not. And, you know, and Zach has to be a little better. You know, I think, you know, you got to grow up in certain things, and I know he had 33 completions, but also when those moments are there and those plays are there early, you gotta hit them. You gotta come out and be on it when it's clean, when the pocket was clean and the guys are there. You can't be late. You can't not throw the ball in the area that's catchable. When they're there and they're predicted and you study them the night before because your coach made a list of the top 10 plays and you envision what the coverages are going to be and what the throws are going to be, that's exactly, okay, where you got to be on. And right now, he wasn't on early. So now you throw all that stuff and mix it together, and you got a big bag of you-know-what, right? That's just what it is. Yeah. But, you know, you can't just win games with defense only. It's just not – you can be the number one defense. I know statistically we're not the number one defense, but if you're the number one defense, you're not going to win with what's going on collectively with the team.
There's your scoring summary right there from MetLife Stadium tonight. Darius Davis's 87-yard punt return in the first quarter, that was the amount of points the Chargers needed to win this game. After the extra point, they
got 27 points. I feel like, how did they do anything tonight? You know, like,
27 points, and the Jets were limited to 2 Greg Zuerlein field goals. For more on tonight's game, let's go back to MetLife. Here's Ethan and Leger Duzable.
Thanks, yeah. I'm here with Leger Douzable, as you just said. So, Leger, let's just talk about this Jets defense first. Final score 27-6, but you just told me you feel like the defense only gave up 11 points.
Yeah, Ethan, if you look at the game in totality, we have a punt return for the Chargers. Then if you look at their second score, right, it was already in plus territory after Joey Bosa gets a sack fumble. Now, as a Jets defense, right, you want to protect every blade of grass. And you want to hold them to 3, but they weren't able to hold them to 3. They gave up 7 there. And they gave up another score late in the game. So in totality, I think they really gave up 11 because the last score, if you think about it, it was a sack fumble. The Chargers advanced it all the way to about the 1-yard line, and Austin Eckler punched it in. So this Jets defense played good enough to win. Honestly, they were stifling at time. And we were talking about this off camera. If you look at Justin Herbert's numbers, you would think the Jets won that game. I think he was 16-30 for like 136. But the thing is, he didn't have the crucial turnover, and that's what he's usually done in the fourth quarter. Did not do that today for the Chargers.
And for the Jets defense, to your point, felt like the Jets defense played good enough for the team to win this game. But don't you feel like this was the game where nothing really seemed to go right for the Jets, especially early?
Yeah, and if you look at it, right, Thomas Morstead gets introduced as, one of the starting, lineups or starting 11 for the Jets defense, or 12 because you had him in there. And then he's been playing great all year long. I think the loss today of Justin Hardy was felt, right, because on that punt return, I don't want to say he outkicked this coverage because he had great hang time, but Justin Hardy is one of the best gunners in all of football getting down there. He would have forced that fair catch, and him not being on the field tonight, I think really showed up because there was also an opportunity when Davis, their returner, muffed the punt, and Hardy probably would have been there in that position. Right. So I think the loss of Justin Hardy was big today. You talk about the defense, they were stifling. I mean, I think the Jets had 4 or 5 sacks today. They constantly got after Justin Herbert. The Chargers didn't have a really good high percentage on third down. So that's what you want as a Jets defense. You want to be able to get after the quarterback, hold him to a low percentage on third down. They did exactly that. Just wasn't enough plays made on offense.
And I feel like, speaking to C.J. Mosley just moments ago, he said this team, the Jets, got humbled tonight. Not necessarily a bad thing, what he said. When you hear the captain of the New York Jets say, it's not necessarily a bad thing that we got humbled, what's your reaction to that?
It's like you said, it's not a bad thing because every once in a while that happens in the NFL. I tell people this all the time. Like, no matter who's on that other sideline, you have to strap it up every week because you can lose a game. I mean, we saw that with the Carolina Panthers versus the Houston Texans a week ago, right? The Houston Texans are one of the, upbringing teams or one of those upstart teams that are playing better than a lot of people think. They go against a winless Panthers team and they lose that game. So every week in the NFL, you have to be ready. You have to strap it on. And it was almost like a snowball effect, right, Ethan? If you look at it, the punt return happened, then the fumble by Garrett Wilson happened, then you get a sack fumble on Zach Wilson. And then on third down, they run a toss play to Breece Hall with blockers in front. He kind of takes his eye off the ball, and he fumbles it, and they get it back. They don't get a first down. So too many self-inflicted wounds. The one that comes to mind, the Jeremy Rucker play on 3rd and 3. He jumps offside. Now it's 3rd and 8. You cannot be in 3rd and long and have a good third down percentage because that benefits the defense. We know as defensive linemen on 3rd and long, there is no run in the game plan. You're passing the ball for sure. So you want to be in 3rd and manageable, and I think that was the difference in this game. If you look at the Chargers the second half, a lot of 3rd and shorts, and they were able to convert some of those for first downs.
I'm curious your opinion on what seems like a very simple question, but it's a very complex one, especially without watching the film from this game. But you watch all the film from the Jets. What is this offense missing, or what was it missing tonight?
I think first and foremost, continuity on the offensive line. I talked about this in the pregame show. When you have so many pieces moving around, it's hard to gel and have that continuity because offensive line play is like on a string. Everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to protect their inside and outside, and you have to trust that man to the left and right of you. But if that guy to the left and right of you is changing every week, it's hard to really build up that continuity. And then you think about it, like if you look at the Jets defense, every time you turn on the film, Bryce Huff or JFM, they're getting chipped, right? I think we need to implore that a little bit more. We know there's been some influx on the offensive line. I think we should use our running backs and tight ends to chip a little bit more, especially in passing situations. And I talked about it earlier, self-inflicting wounds. You can't be in 3rd and 3, get a penalty, now it's 3rd and 8. Another play that comes to mind, big Breece Hall run. You get Garrett Wilson with a block in the back, wipes out a first down. So I think Saleh just talked about this in his press conference. It's hard to get a rhythm on offense and build that continuity up if you're going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and it's because of self-inflicting wounds. Everything tonight was a snowball effect, and you saw it on the field.
And then you touched on this, but I just wanted to wrap up by asking about the Jets' offensive line. 5th different starting combination. In the pregame show, you mentioned that you thought maybe Max Mitchell would have been a better fit at right guard, which he ended up playing. Without watching the film, what was your initial kind of knee-jerk reaction to the way the line played and specifically Mitchell in that spot?
I thought Max Mitchell played really well. Actually, the interior three. Now, they struggled with some pass rush games, some text games with tackle first in and around. They had a hard time passing off, but again, Ethan, that's continuity. You had a lot of reps with the guy to the right or left of you. Some of that communication is not going to be there. You got to be on the same level, because if you're on two different levels, that's when guys can pick guys and guys can come free. But I thought Max Mitchell played really well for his first time inside. I honestly thought watching him at the Senior Bowl a few years ago, he would be better slated inside at guard where he's protected, because we know he's a great run-blocking guy. Now in pass protection, if somebody makes an inside move, he has the center there. So without watching the tape, like you said, it looked like Max Mitchell actually played a pretty good game tonight.
Final score 27-6, Chargers over the Jets. The Jets on a short week traveling to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders on Sunday Night Football.
The Jets had 17 first downs Monday night against the Chargers. The Chargers limited to just 14 first downs. The third down discrepancy was big. Chargers converting 44% of their opportunities, while the Jets were just 18% on third down. Total yards there is really something else. 270 to 191, but the Jets yield a punt return score that ended up being the game-winning points, and they also turned the ball over 3 times. No takeaways for the Jets defense. Let's get into our Telestration right now. We're powered by Microsoft Surface as always. Quincy, the Jets defense, great effort again Monday night. 5 sacks in all. They limited the Chargers to 191 total yards. I really like the production the Jets continue to get at the edge positions with Bryce Huff and Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. To keep it a little bit corny here, the Jets were supercharged against the Chargers tonight. At all 3 levels, guys were playing with their hair on fire. That's what you want to see from this defensive front. Coach Saleh's coaching these guys up well. So this first one right here, it's going to be a nice, quick, easy read for the quarterback, Herbert. But, again, the Jets' defense is just so talented. So right here, you're going to have a little play here with we used to call this squire with the underneath. And as you can see here, the Jets' defense, hair on fire. Both edges, guys are coming off here, getting past their guy to sack Justin Herbert. No time to look where he wants to go. He's looking left, looking right, nowhere to go, and a great sack. A double-team sack. First Bryce Huff, then Jermaine Johnson. Great play right there by the both of them. And you get the nice celebration.
Yeah, those guys shared a sack there. Bryce Huff, a sack and a half. Jermaine on the board again. How about the defensive backfield? Sauce Gardner, he doesn't get a ton of opportunities, but his quarterbacks stay away from him. And then we found out why, again, in the first half, because Justin Herbert tried him a couple of times to no avail.
Yep, exactly. It's hard to get any plays on Sauce. I can't wait till he gets his interception this year. He's looking for it. So on this play here, you're going to have this deep, clear-out corner usually with an over, and then another guy in the flat here. 3 levels. And Justin Herbert thought, okay, well, I see my guy one-on-one against Sauce Gardner. And, of course, Sauce Gardner came out to play, as he always does. So right here, Sauce does a great job staying on his inside hip here. Got him locked down. There's really nowhere to go. Herbert has to throw it over, but he's just not able to get it there. Sauce Gardner's in the way. Great play by him, constantly sticking to the receiver's hip. He's just so technically sound.
Well, talk about it right there. You just mentioned hips.
Yes.
For a big guy, he really flips and changes directions quite naturally.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's got a guy on the other side, and DJ, who is really quick and really able to move really well. But Sauce moves well for his size, and that's one thing that he's just so good at. That's what makes him so great, is the fact that he's able to move the way he does and stay connected to his receiver. It's very hard to do what he does and not panic. Again, I was talking about this last year and again this year. He doesn't panic when the ball's in the air. He just goes and makes the play.
Yeah, the interception is coming soon for Sauce Gardner. The Jets, unfortunately, the winning streak comes to an end tonight against the Chargers. But they continue to get production from a lot of players on that defense, including Quentin Jefferson, our own Caroline Hendershot, talked to the veteran defensive lineman after the game. Good stuff from Caroline and Quentin Jefferson. Okay, time for report cards. We're going to switch it up a little bit. I think we're going to start offensively, though. Who wants to go?
Yeah,
I think we're going to see all our grades. I want D plus.
We're all in the same
Yeah.
area, right? I think
the same area.
You're never going to give somebody an F because it's a complete debacle. But I mean, we've talked about it enough. I mean, they didn't deserve anything more than a D today.
Yeah.
We can get into all those D. It's just not.
I wonder what would have happened as far as game flow is concerned had not those turnovers.
Yeah.
They happened, but you're in plus territory and you're moving the ball in that first quarter. It kind of takes you out of the flow and the rhythm of the game, bottom line.
And it's crazy when you think about it because the fact that they had more fumbles today than they did last week as a team, right? You know, you had those 2 fumbles last week with Zach, but one wasn't even a fumble. It was just a bad exchange. Now you've got 3 different guys fumbling the ball in a game that was completely dry.
I thought it was really disappointing that the Jets were not able to take advantage of a secondary that came in here ranked last in the National Football League against the pass.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to defense. Anthony, A-. Quincy with an A.
Should we start with you?
with a B.
You're a little rough with the B.
Okay, so my thought process on the B is that no takeaways.
Okay.
Okay. And this team holds itself to such a high standard as far as the takeaways are concerned. That's the bottom line. In a game like that, okay, the 5 sacks, loved it. The 191 total yards, big time effort. It's a big time effort, no doubt about it. That's probably.
To be honest with you, I was going to go A+ if they would have got turnovers. That's how.
Well, they got 3. They just couldn't get them.
Yeah.
Right? They caused 3 fumbles. But you're right. I mean, you got to get one of them, be good. I mean, it was an A effort for sure. I just, it's almost like you kind of want to nitpick on it because, you want more. You're asking the defense, give us more than you already did because you played great. But we needed more because the offense didn't do anything. Exactly. So that's just kind of what it is. So it's unfortunate. I mean, I feel like last couple of games I've actually downgraded them because they didn't do more than they did on the field, which is terrible, right?
I mean, team we would give this A+ performance every time.
I think they're so good that they hold themselves to such a high standard that.
I mean, it makes sense.
Okay, and then maybe I knocked them down too much because of the third down stuff and a couple of penalties there.
Yeah, there was some.
But this is an outstanding unit, and we expect this from them because look at now, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Josh Allen, it's Jalen Hurts. And Justin Herbert went out there again tonight, and he looked average.
Yeah.
And it's not that he's an average quarterback. He's an elite quarterback in the National Football League. Jets defense is elite.
Yeah.
And C.J. Mosley said, hey, we got to take the ball away, so I give him a B. All right, special teams.
Oh, this one might be,
Yeah, you saw something out there, huh?
Quincy, you were great on a
2
curve.
field goals probably propped them up.
The 2 field goals got me. I saw the punt return, and I really hated that. It was so early in the game. I was like, okay, that's a bad decision. That's a bad. But then, listen, I'm going to be honest. I probably didn't grade special teams the way I should have, if I really think about it, because I'm going to stand on it. I put it down, so I put my name on it. But even some of those other punt returns, they still didn't have great coverage on them. So overall, it just wasn't a great showing from this.
As bad as the offense has been, to the first punt scoring a touchdown this game, it took the energy out of the building. And you know how the fans are. Oh, here we go. It's just, that's what it is. I mean, it's real. It's real with every fan base.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you didn't even do anything yet. And the punt goes to the house. So
it's an amazing special teams unit. And
yeah, absolutely. They kill it every week, but you can't give up points because right now this team can't score. So you better be on it in that phase. And they gave up a key touchdown. And the timing was just as important because you're trying to oh, here we go. And then oh man, now you're behind the 8 ball. So yeah, it's a D, man, for me. It's got to be better.
Yeah. Give Doozable some credit there, mentioning Justin Hardy's absence. Maybe that came into play.
Maybe he makes that tackle in that particular situation.
Who knows? Okay, so after the game, the voice of the Jets, Bob Wischusen, talked to quarterback Zach Wilson.
All right, Dan, thanks very much. Zach, what you were up against tonight, it seemed like they played defense in a similar way that makes the Jet defense so good, right? Dropping 7, rushing 4, getting pressure on the quarterback. How hard did they make it on you guys tonight?
Yeah, you got to give them credit. They did a good job. It was tough, man. I felt like we kept shooting ourselves in the foot. Too many self-inflicted wounds. I think everyone was just kind of taking turns, so we got to find a way to be more efficient.
How hard has it been with all the injuries on the offensive line as well?
It's tough, but I know those guys in there are battling, man. I got absolute 100% trust in those guys no matter what, man. I got to find a way to be better for those guys always, and it's a whole thing as an offense. It's all of us, so we got to find a way.
And as loud as this locker room was last week, it's that quiet this week. How do you deal with kind of the roller coaster of these emotions, knowing that you're 4-4, you're right in the middle of this thing still?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's a roller coaster. The season always is. The NFL is tough. It's tough to get wins in this league, and you got to be perfect out there. You got to find a way to be as efficient as possible, and we got a short week, so we got to move on. We got to learn from this. We got to get healthy and get ready for next week.
And final question: learning from it, how? Like, what are the biggest things you think this offense needs to improve upon from here to next week, especially?
Yeah, self-inflicted wounds. I think honestly, really, it starts there. How do we not shoot ourselves in the foot? How do we stay ahead of the sticks? How do we get in the red zone and score? We took 2 sacks there. I can't do that. I got to find a way to get rid of the ball, something, and I think that'll take care of it. Really, we're going to watch this film, and all we got to do as offense is keep climbing, keep trying to get better one day at a time.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Self-inflicted wounds. Jets hurt themselves throughout the night, and I'll tell you what, we say it every week. It's tough to win in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Listen, what he just said and what Salah's been saying, everybody's taking their shots and messing up. Listen, this offense, okay, before we throw the book at the play caller and this guy, these guys collectively have to start coming out, okay, and executing at a better level, period. You can't go every series and have mistakes, all right? You can't go every series, because I'll just be honest with you. I'm a coach, okay? Sometimes I'll tell my OC, run the damn dive every play. Block it up and execute it, and it works, all right? But you got guy offsides, you got a guy illegal motion, you got a guy jumping off sides, all that stuff. Blocking the back, fumbling footballs, not getting the ball out in time, okay? Giving up sacks. It's got to be clean, okay? If you're in the NFL, you should be able to execute at a higher rate than just below half the time. This team has been waiting for their offense to step up and do something. There's enough there. They should be able to function. But just like Zach said, and just like Salah said, okay, everybody is messing up. It seems like every series. When are they going to come out and execute together as a unit? It takes 11, man. We ain't got the dude back there to do it on his own. Period. We don't have Aaron Rodgers to bail us out and make a sick throw. This team has to find a way, and whatever that is, their preparation, the players' preparation, okay, the tape, the technique, all that stuff, looking at your the play script, all right, watch it, whatever it may be, it's got to raise, man, because it ain't enough. Because just going out there and showing up because you're a great player, all this stuff, you got to put a little more in, and it's got to be across the table. So offensive linemen, this is what you do. This is what I tell my team. O-linemen, get together. All right, on your own, do your thing. Receivers, get together with the quarterback on your own. Go through all the pass routes. Make sure you're on it. Cover 3, cover 1, man, press, off. All right, make sure those details are clean. And they may be doing that. Keep doing it because it's got to be cleaner, all right, on one of these games. Because the reality of the situation, guy, and I hate just talking here, they're 4-4. They are a game out of first place. Yeah. I don't care how you cut it up, carve it up. That's where you are. That's the reality of it. So you can go on a run and do it, but, man, you got to function. And I don't care what play's being called at this point. You got to function. And right now, 11 guys on offense are not doing it. 9 are, 8 are, 10 are. 11 guys aren't. Bottom line, how do you fix it? Players, fix it. Players, you got to fix it. And if you don't fix it, it's going to be the same thing every week. Because we're just going to point fingers. The media is going to point fingers. 11 players need to figure it out, come together. Because hack it, call whatever damn play you want. Go figure it out, 11 guys, how to execute that play, because you're not executing enough at the highest level, period.
Quincy, big picture. Jets have won 3 of their past 4 games, and when you watch that defense tonight, which is going to be overshadowed by what happened offensively and on special teams, you can win at any game. We've seen that already for the Jets. A lot of football left to be played, and that starts next week against the Raiders.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we say it every week, championship level defense. They come out every week. You know, I'm with you, EA, earlier. You know, you would love to see these guys take the ball away, but that's not what really you're supposed to expect from your defense. You know, that's expecting a lot from a team that is already playing at a very high level. You know, so you know, I would love to see these guys take the ball away, and offensively, you know, you had over a week to prepare for this game. Over a week, and you had so many mental errors, and that's a combination of coaching. That's a combination of also, like, who are you when you look in the mirror? Are you honestly looking in the mirror and understanding, like, why you're playing this game, what your purpose is? It doesn't seem like guys are really playing for each other, and that's just a bad way to play football. It's a bad team effort. Yeah, I mean, AB said a lot. You know, I don't even know what to say anymore. You know, these type of losses are hard, right? Let's just be honest, right? These type of losses are hard because, you know, you go into the game assuming that, you know, this team is going to play hard, play together. It's going to come down to the wire, and it's going to be a great showing from all three phases of football. And when you go out there and only one phase of football really is playing at a high level and all the other ones are not showing up, it's hard to talk about it. It's hard to sit here and act as though, you know, the sky's now falling. You know, it'll be easier maybe tomorrow once
it's not falling, Q. It's not.
I know, but there's going to be a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks.
Yes, that is the life in the National Football League. Next up for the Jets, Sunday Night Football against the Raiders, who look like an inspired bunch with the new head coach there. And then you have the two divisional games.
Everybody's 500. I mean, come on.
Right.
The Jets included. Everyone in MT, it's a coin flip. So who's executing at a higher level? That's just what it's going to come down to, man. I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be a lot, E. It doesn't. All right, it's just got to raise up a little better. Every one of those games is winnable. Every one of those games right there is winnable. There's nobody on there that should scare anybody. It's just the truth. But somebody's going to out-execute somebody, and they're going to win the football game. Yeah. And right now, it's a phase on this football team that's behind. So who's going to take care of that business? It's got to get done, man. It's got to get done. And can it? Yes. Because if I'm sitting here watching film, man, that guy missed this. You can't have it, man. It's got to come together. And now we're halfway through the season, too. So you got to find a way. This thing didn't happen, 2 weeks ago. Aaron Rodgers has been out since the fourth play of the season. Okay? So whoever's in the game, whatever you're doing, I always tell preparation is key. When you're prepared in a game, okay, and you're doing everything you can, your play is much, much better. And right now, it's got to be a preparation thing for whatever route the players are doing it offensively. And I'm not saying they're not preparing. It's just how you're preparing, because when you're out there, some guys look like they're preparing a little bit more than others. And sometimes that guy that's preparing on point needs to get over with those other guys and get it going. So hopefully that's happening in the building. I'm not in that locker room. I'm not in those players in the meeting space. What are you doing outside of just the required coach's time? And I'm not saying, again, they're not doing anything, because they are. But collectively now, because the group doesn't have one dude that can do it on his own, you got to find a way to come together in those pockets of your team offensively so that it meshes up and looks really good enough to function on game day.
Tough outcome at MetLife Stadium. The Jets' 3-game win streak comes to an end, a 27-6 score to the LA Chargers. Bottom line, though, this defense, again, they get after you. And every time they are out there on the field, you have a chance to win. So, listen, Jets got plenty of mistakes to correct here in a few hours, but we're signing off for tonight. For AB, Quincy Nunwa, Caroline Huntershot, Ethan Greenberg, we'll see you next week.